Hands up.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:30 p.m. and a quorum of members is present, so the meeting of the Board of Education of the School District of New Berlin is called to order. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby. Here. Mr. David.
Here.
Mr. Kugler. Mr. Kurth.
Here.
Ms. Manley.
Here.
Mr. Nickerson.
Here.
Ms. Wonderchuk.
We will try and make contact with Mr. Kugler and Ms. Wonderchuk to see what their status is. They might just be running a little bit late. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session.
Mr. President, I move to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, 1C, E, and F of the Wisconsin statutes to consider C, employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the Board of Education has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. And F, financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personal problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations. The board will discuss and possibly take action on A, the approval of closed session minutes of August 18, 2017. B, employment, performance, and compensation matters pertaining to staff. C, recess closed session. That's it. And I believe the...
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kurth, second by Mrs. Manley, to adjourn to closed session. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby. Mr. David.
Yes.
Mr. Kurth.
Yes.
Ms. Manley.
Yes.
Mr. Nickerson. Ms. Wonderchuk.
Yes.
The motion carries. We will adjourn to closed session and return approximately 7 p.m.
We're gonna go down here. So they're like they're all alphabetical. Ah.
Tell the story.
Oh, I know.
Like, move back here,
Oh.
we're gonna do it.
Oh,
Did you
okay.
see me trying to wave you down from that view?
I was too focused on my essay.
You were your essay.
Yeah. I was writing an essay for poetry and creative writing.
Oh, that works. Tell them to wait a little longer, you'll be done.
Yeah. We have these like digital journals.
Oh, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that way we can, because we share it with her, so then it's easier for both of us.
Sure.
So, yeah, we're
But
just
that's
doing.
good. You got extra time now.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm great, thank you.
You have a good summer?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you. Yeah, I did have a great summer.
I just like to have one, I don't know. And it's usually here, so then I don't.
You should. Give me a second, it's a new phone, I gotta find my stuff. That's not it.
I think I only have allergies,
That's not it either.
but I'll stay this way just in case. So did you do anything fun this summer?
I went to the World Affairs seminar at Carroll. That was awesome. And then I had a lot of cousins visiting.
There it is, fine.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then I worked a lot.
Where did you work at?
Pick and Save.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
I like it a lot.
It's the place I shop most.
Oh yeah. It's convenient.
Yes, it is. Very much so.
Ladies and gentlemen, the board is now returning to open session. I thank you very much for your patience. In recognition of the serious and important nature of our efforts here, we will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for those who wish to prepare for the meeting, we'll have a moment of silence. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the public last Friday by posting the agenda at each district school, the district office, and the city library. The agenda was also posted on the district website. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Journal Sentinel, the Waukesha Freeman, and the New Berlin Now, all of which have filed requests for all public notices. We'll begin this evening with recognitions.
At this time, I'd like to ask our Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning, Kelly Kwiatkowski, to honor our Froedtert Healthcare Academy participants.
Thank you for this honor. I'm actually going to pass it off to our Eisenhower science teacher and also the mentor for this program, Dan Berghardt. Thank you for all of your time to get this off the ground, as well as Laura Schmidt, our strategic advisor to the superintendent, and Melissa, who's here from Froedtert. Froedtert has been a partner with us to provide industry tours for the last couple years, and they've really provided us a wonderful opportunity for 10 of our students from both West and Eisenhower to be exposed to the different careers in the healthcare field at Moreland Reserve and actually shadow professionals in the healthcare field for 10 days. So, Dan, congratulations.
I really have nothing else to say. She kind of said it a minute ago. It's nice to see these students having opportunities outside of the classroom to go see what they could possibly do with their career. And unfortunately, you were busy with your meeting, but these students gave presentations earlier today, and you could see the passion that they had and the excitement that they had for the healthcare, and seeing those hands-on experiences that you just can't get in the classroom. And so with that, I'd like to go through and introduce each one of them and thank them for their time that they gave during the summer when they usually have time to go play and watch movies and stuff like that. So I'm going to call each one of them up. And starting off, we have Carly Anderson. And actually, Maura Arcuri is not here. She is being inducted as a president for our 4-H club around this area. So, Justin Choi. Radhika Dua. April Kronsage. Lauren Myers. Shweta Sharma. Hannah Sadesky. And even though I practice, I'm still going to butcher this one. Teresa Sundarajan. Forgot the Fraser people. Okay. And then again, a huge thank you to these two people from Prater, Melissa especially. She worked with me and she's really the head of this, getting us all figured out, making sure that I was on top of my deadlines to make sure the students were on top of theirs, and really bringing it to our school district because there are other schools around the area that have it. This was the first time I believe that I was in a clinic too. And so it's just another opportunity that we hope that we can continue on for future generations of students. And again, as Kelly alluded to earlier too, Frater is a huge thing that we have a partnership with that is constantly doing tours and other hands-on activities, and this is just one more opportunity for our wonderful students. So again, round of applause for Frater.
Oh, good. Thank you. Then we have one more order of recognition. And Roger, I'm going to toss this over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to invite Brandon Kostolny up. One of the neatest things about board meetings is celebration of student recognitions. But behind the student success is a lot of people, most particularly our teachers. Behind our teachers are also a lot of people that contribute to their success. Brandon is our Director of Technology Services, most of you know. He's been behind a lot of the successes we've had with our digital and learning initiative. He's been one of the leaders to get us going in the incorporating the career experiences into our programs. In addition to doing all these wonderful things, he continues to pursue his own professional growth. Brandon is one of a few people in the country that have received the Certified Education Technology Leader designation. It's a designation. He requires coursework, taking a rather rigorous test, spending a lot of time. So I want to congratulate Brandon and thank you for the contributions you make to our school district. Thank you.
Congratulations, Brandon. Next item on the agenda is privilege of the floor. This portion of the meeting is an opportunity for you to come and voice your concerns to the board. Please do not be offended when we listen quietly. We may even take notes. We cannot immediately respond to your questions and comments. This is a time for you to talk to us and for us to listen to you. Please understand that due to public meeting laws, we are not able to engage in a discussion of topics that are not currently on the agenda. We will, as best as possible, direct you to the appropriate resource in the district to resolve any issue if that need arises. So this time, Sarah Zizzo, if you can please address the chair and state your name and address. Each presentation is to be restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes. Privilege of the floor will be limited to a half an hour. Presentations are not to be designed for purpose of engaging others in a debate in this forum, discussion of certified, classified, or professional personnel, or of individual Board of Education members or administrative staff shall not be considered an appropriate topic for this forum, and the speaker will be ruled out of order.
Hi, my name is Sarah Zizzo. My address is 1607 South Woodside Drive. I was notified on 8/18 that a member of our school board made a comment that my daughter didn't tell the school what happened, and this is the cause of me not being notified.
Ma'am, if you're speaking of a specific school board member, that'll be out of order. I cannot allow
I didn't
that.
say a specific school board member, sir.
You're saying a school board member did something,
I didn't say a specific school board member. I
but
didn't
you're
name
talking about
anybody by
members of
name.
the board, because there's 7 of us here, so you're
Okay.
talking about a member of the board,
Okay.
and I'm asking that you not refer to the members of the board. I mean, if you're referring to something that someone did, you're referring to the board, I'm going to have to rule that out of order.
Okay. So this is your way to bully me?
I wouldn't say that, ma'am. I spoke with the parent that, and I'm not going to engage in conversation, but I spoke with that parent.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Okay, I will just use sir as the person. This person I've talked to for 7 minutes regarding the comments. The person said that I didn't find out about what happened to my daughter because she didn't tell the school. This person found out from staff at Orchard Lane. I asked him who, explaining that my child should not be discussed outside of meetings with those that are privileged to her information. This person could not confirm their sources, but said he will reach back and find out more and call me back. I was told this person has a very busy schedule and would make it a priority to call me back by Friday. I explained the situation and discussed how I presented this previously, and I expected not to be judged. This person said he did not judge me. I said, your comment to the other parent confirms that you did. On 8/25, I was expected to receive a callback. There was no callback, no email, or no message of any kind. On 8/29 and 8:30, I left a message for this person. Again on 9/6 in the morning, 9/6 in the evening. Still no callback. So to bring people back to what happened, I want to keep my child the focus of this. Her information was disclosed to other parents in the school district. I explained that my daughter was protected by FERPA, and this conversation violates her FERPA rights. This person said this isn't a HIPAA issue. I explained that FERPA was to protect the privacy of my child's records. This person said, right, it isn't a HIPAA issue. I said, exactly, this is a FERPA issue because you were talking about her. This person closed the conversation again, saying that he will call me back. On 9/7 at 9:40 a.m., I received an email from this person. This person focused on they wanted to know who told me, what parent. This person did not address the comments that were made and did not apologize for the comments that were stated about my child, an innocent child in the school district of New Berlin that this person should be representing. Instead, they are more concerned about themselves and who told them.
Thank you for your comments. At this time, we'll have the President's message. Today is the 16th anniversary of 9/11. As I was thinking about this today, I realized that most of our students weren't even alive when this happened. I just want to stress the importance of teaching them about what happened, about those that we lost, about the heroes that ran into the burning buildings and not away from them. Since this act of terrorism, we've had first responders and soldiers and sailors and airmen who have sacrificed their lives for this country. And today is an anniversary of very much of what started that. I'm sure many of us remember where we were on that day and the terror that we felt. So whether it's our military, whether it's law enforcement, we want to remember them and thank them for their service. At this time, we'll have the administrative team report.
Yeah, so I have several updates I'd like to provide the board. Unfortunately, I wanted to inform you of our ACT composite scores once I had comparable districts to share. Unfortunately, because I was contacted by a reporter, I needed to disclose our information before we were able to send out our public notice to have those comparables. But nonetheless, I'm pleased to announce that we have again increased our composite ACT score as a school district. While it's a nominal increase, it's still an increase, and our students are achieving at very high levels and continue to do so. We will be releasing that information once we're able to gather the data to be able to compare ourselves to the other districts. But again, just wanted to inform you that while ACT is only one of our data points, it's one that's definitely scrutinized in our area, especially in districts of our comparability. So very proud of that accomplishment. I also want to share with the board, I did provide kind of our updated annual strategic planning process and our focus for the next 3 years. Much of it is information that is basically what the foundation was our previous strategic plan. We had many individuals involved. We got insights from across the board as related to our efforts and where we're heading. But again, just wanted to let you know that that document is in your report. I also provided the Education for Employment Planning document that the board has actually already kind of reviewed on several accounts. Education for Employment, while it's legislation, we truly believe in the work to the point where I'm proud to announce that we are tentatively scheduled to have Speaker Paul Ryan join us on Monday to talk to us and not only talk to us, but also have us share with Speaker Ryan our efforts as it relates to education for employment. We're proud to say that we are recognized at not only the state level, regional level, but also now nationally for our efforts. And so, again, just wanted to make sure that you have that E4E planning document in your, I do want to clarify to the administrators in the building that we just found out about this, so I apologize that it's news to you, but Flex, you might want to free up your calendars for Monday, just a heads up. I will provide details once I have them. I don't have them yet. I also want to point out that we have this Accomplish More in 4 effort that we are focusing on, and the initiative is to provide all students with the opportunity to successfully complete college-level coursework prior to graduation. This is coursework that can count towards both a student's high school diploma and possibly a college degree, allowing the student to accomplish more in their 4 years of high school than just their diploma. Obviously, as evidenced by the students that were in the room earlier, having those types of experiences with Freighter, for example, those are just incredible opportunities that we're able to provide because of our partnerships. But I do have basically that document in there, but we are initiating a campaign in this effort as we kick off this school year. And then finally, I did want to mention that you have basically fresh off the press hard copies of our annual report. There are some incredible things happening across the school district in all of our schools, and what we did with this version was we actually highlight not only the district accomplishments, but what the accomplishments of each of our schools as well. We have many things to be proud of, and again, continue to do some great things on behalf of our students and their families. That's my update at this time.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I will be providing the September update for New Berlin West, all of its activities. So I'm kind of going to go back in August. So SALU, or Student Ambassadors Leadership Union, they started this tradition, so it's called the Back to School Bash. So they basically had, on August 25th, they had picture day, and then they had games and food available for the students, and the night was concluded with a football game. And then last week, the second day of school, so there was an open house. So parents, as usual, they got an introduction into their children's classes and with their teachers, and they could provide any questions or concerns they had. So, and also for September, so
would ask that you need more drills.
And so with the recent Hurricane Harvey reaching out to Texas, so Mr. Maddox, he is the basketball coach at New Berlin West, so he engaged all of the New Berlin community and even expanding outwards to other schools. So basically, there was a college basketball coach from Houston who tweeted and asked college basketball coaches all around the nation to send in 10 to 15 items. And so Mr. Maddox tweeted back saying that he'd be more than willing to have the boys basketball, send in a few items. And so more people saw this, and this basically turned into a snowball effect, and more people were starting to be interested in this. So he started out, anticipating sending 10 to 15 items, but at the end of the week, there's going to be 74 full boxes, so roughly 1,500 items that are going to be sent out to Texas for those impacted. So he wants to, especially thank the district and the administrators who promoted this without, even having to ask you guys to do so. And additionally, the Journal Central covered this, and so other schools such as Homestead and Milwaukee, Washington, and Tosa West all joined in. So it's great to see how this started with one basketball team, but it grew out to other schools as well. And so something that all the students look forward to in the fall time is homecoming. So that's going to be taking place on October 7th. And so we have our own, annual traditions with Powder Puff and the bonfire, spirit weeks, pep rallies, and we're also introducing a new tradition of tailgating before the home game. And so it concludes with the homecoming dance, of course. So that is my update for the month of September. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. Thank you for listening.
Thank you,
The only thing I'll
Nirali.
say is I know Nirali was definitely ready for the school year, because I ran into her at Walgreens the day before, and she said she was just getting some last-minute things, and so was I, so it was all good.
Excellent. Well, welcome back. It's good to have you back this year. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be pulled out for separate consideration? Hearing none, do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kerr, second by Mrs. Manley, to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. And it passes unanimously. On to our regular agenda. First item on the regular agenda is communications and community engagement update.
So as the board is aware, we have invested in communications efforts in the district over the course of the last probably 4 years now. And with that investment, we wanted to be able to provide you kind of an update of our efforts thus far. I'm proud to say, I'm not sure if Dave will include this in his presentation, but it is an award-winning department. We have received not only state awards, but most recently national awards as it relates to our community. What's that? Okay, so go ahead and then we'll start with our presentation.
So thank you guys for having me here. I'm not going to give you like what we all do on a daily basis, myself and Ann Warchel, the community engagement specialist, because we'd be here for a while. So I just wanted to give you some high-level, some of the high-level successes that we've had since Ann and I joined the team January of 2016, I think it was. It's about 20 months now. Obviously, one of our strategic goals is to develop relationships and partnerships in the community to recognize and utilize mutually beneficial resources. And one of the ways that Ann and I have really tackled this is to build our audience. And I'm going to show you a couple ways as to what we've been doing over the last year and a half. The ways that the public would recognize rather easily. First of all, one of the goals we had when we started was to really improve our social media and to improve our reach. We had all the platforms in place, and all the schools were doing a good job, and the district was doing a good job of reaching our audience. But we felt we could push a few more things out there and kind of get more people engaged in our day-to-day efforts. So when we started back in January, we had 1,154 likes on Facebook, which is a pretty solid number, but a little bit low for a district of this size. Since then, we've increased that to almost 1,800, which is a pretty nice increase. On Twitter, you see kind of a similar, if you don't follow us on Twitter or Facebook, you should, because you're missing out on a lot of good information that goes out pretty regularly. Twitter, again, some solid gains there as well. And this is kind of a telling slide too. We've had over almost 200 posts on Facebook. If you're not familiar with social media, I can give you a lowdown on that another time, or specifically about Facebook. But to have almost 200 posts in the last 20 months or so that have reached over 1,000 people, that's a pretty impressive number. And the reason why we are so we push our social media gains as much as we do is you obviously noticed the shrinking news hole that is happening across the country, and we are kind of our own we're our own publication, we churn out our own news on a daily basis, and social media is one of the ways that we do that. So to reach these kind of audiences is something we wouldn't be able to do even with a news story in the Now or most other outlets. That being said, we obviously do like to get positive media coverage when we're able to, and we've pushed out quite a few stories over the last year and a half or so, and you may have seen a handful of them pop up. And often I know Mr. Garza shares the stories once they are live and once we do get some coverage. So you've probably seen some of these stories. Our senior walk the last 2 years has gotten a lot of attention. Ronald Reagan has had some positive things happening over there, and has received some great news coverage for their honor flight, raising money for their honor flight. We had the retired Purple Heart captain, and I have his name right here, I'm sorry, I know his name, Jason Church. He came to our buildings a couple years ago, and we got a lot of positive coverage for that right around Memorial Day, which is great to have him giving his message to our students at that time. And then, some of these other, this is a story about our advanced innovation and design class, the launch of that. So, again, we've had a lot of success over the last couple of years getting some positive news coverage, and that's just, it's really valuable to share that story with not just our local community, but the broader community as well. Joe kind of stole the thunder with the annual report, but our annual report reaches everybody in the district. We actually send it to all residents in New Berlin, even if they don't live in our district, and all businesses in New Berlin as well. That actually may be in mailboxes today or tomorrow. If you haven't received it, you might get it tomorrow. I think it dropped at the mailbox or at the post office on Friday. And we're obviously really proud of the annual report, and for good reason. This is just the reach that we have. I mean, almost, just shy of 18,500 residences and businesses receive the annual report now. And we also share it electronically with a lot of different audiences that may not, again, not locally, but regionally or even statewide. This version of the annual report, I'm happy to say, but I'll backtrack. This won the Wisconsin School Public Relations Association Spectrum Award. The Lighthouse Award, actually, Spectrum Award is the award category. But the Lighthouse Award, which is given to only one project throughout the state annually. So this annual report was considered the best project throughout the state that year. I will say I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't here when that one was produced. The only thing I did was submit it for recognition. So our predecessors should get all the credit for that one. There was one award given out, yeah. So, and all the awards that received perfect scores from the grading committee move on, and then I guess they had a handful last year, and they decided upon our annual report. So, this was last year's version, so this one is up for Wisconsin School Public Relations Award this year. It's just the way they cycle their awards. But this one did actually win a National School Public Relations Association Award in the publications and electronic and print publications category. So that one is something that I can say that I had a little work on it. So we are happy about that. Award-winning, like Joe said. And this is this year's, like I said, I think you've all got a copy. We're really excited about this one. We actually bumped it up 4 pages, went from 20 pages to 24. We expanded our school, quote-unquote, coverage to really highlight some of the great things that happen individually in those schools, to really show everyone that there's great things happening in each and every one of our buildings, really day in and day out. I won't get too much into this. Those are the 3 main things that I wanted to talk about tonight. But our team, Ann and I also do quite a bit with internal communications. We put out a monthly staff newsletter, and we're pretty excited to say that we have maintained a 75% open rate on that, which is pretty astounding, actually. It's up about 5% from before we were here. This last one that we just sent out in August had an 88% open rate. So it certainly shows that our staff is engaged in the newsletter and getting the information that we really are trying to share with them and push out to them. We have made a lot of improvements. We're trying to tell a more personal story, highlight our staff a little bit better, or a little bit more, show their personal side of some of their successes that they have outside of their classroom or inside their classrooms. And so I think that might be a reason why we're seeing some higher readership there. And then some of the other things that we've done just over, again, the last 18 months or year and a half or so is, which is 18 months, by the way. We worked on a compensation model, the employee benefit offerings, and all that other good. So working on intranet right now. So a lot of different things. Again, not an all-inclusive list of some of the things that we're working on, but just a kind of a high-level update as to what our department works on a daily basis. So, any questions?
So do you track likes, shares, retweets?
Yeah, I mean, generally, just for our district account, we do track our followers and our likes. If we see something that's really unusual, we'll kind of keep track of those, like the 3 posts that I mentioned that had gotten over 1,000, had reached over 1,000. Those were like 20,000, 30,000 because they had a broader appeal. So we kind of keep track of some of those things. And we're trying to right now, just speaking of data, we're trying to get our hands around Google Analytics to make our website a little better to see where people are using our site and why they might not be. So that's a little off topic, but yes.
And they've just updated I use Google Analytics, and they've just updated some of that, so it's good
it's something that I hadn't really had a lot of experience in, and we're trying to, again, to get a better idea just to see who's using our website, why.
Okay. And next, after the meeting, hang out, I gotta talk to you. Any other questions, comments?
No, but this book is really good this year. It's especially when they highlight the kids and all the successes.
Yeah, like I said, there's so many good things happening. It's kind of easy to put together, actually.
Nice.
When you start putting a list together of all the great things happening, it fills up a book pretty easy. So.
Well done.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next item is College and Career Readiness Update.
Yeah, so along the lines of not only our strategic plan, but our College and Career Readiness Initiative, our Education for Employment policy, and College and Career Readiness policies, we just wanted to kind of give you an update of where we're at as it relates to our work. And Kelly and Laura are here to kind of share that update. And Michael. Michael's just a little slow to the trigger there.
In the interest of time, I'm going to go through some of the slides sort of quickly. There's going to be more bullets. I think you can see the presentation. Please stop me and ask if you have more questions, but I know we're a little bit behind, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Looking back, the last related board update that we had was back in April, and we talked a little bit about Education for Employment, the Redefining Ready campaign, how we were thinking about measuring progress in the school district of New Berlin, and then also you passed Policy 6154. So this is an update to that past presentation. So essentially, we talked about how this primarily supports the college and career readiness part of our strategic plan, as well as community engagement, which is a big part of this work. This video we're not going to share with you today. Has anybody seen it? It's in your presentation. What did you think? One of the things that Dave didn't mention that he's been really actively involved in, as well as Ann, is our College and Career Readiness video series, and it's been just so well regarded. It's helped us really tell our story. This video we're very proud of. Lieutenant Governor Clayfish has a cameo in it. I hope you have a chance to review it.
I'll be sure to include it in your next update. So not only it's in your presentation now, but also in your next board update.
But we've used it at many conferences and other updates and have had just great response to it. So our key topics today is we're going to talk a little bit about how some of this work is now connected. Last time we met, there was a conversation about how does this relate to other districts. I think you asked that. And there's a lot of work happening across the state of Wisconsin, and we're just really lucky to be able to play a leadership role in that work. In addition to that, we're going to give you the details of what the team came up with in terms of the framework going forward for how we'll be measuring. That'll cover the district dashboard, how we're tracking student progress, and then also the student supports that we're putting in place to make sure kids can be successful. So primarily, this is the nature of our work. This is the premise of the national campaign, and the work that you're seeing tonight is going to support that premise. In addition to that, one of the things that we wanted to highlight is that one of our seniors did win the National Redefining Ready Scholarship, which was $4,000. She was our national runner-up for simply putting together an essay and a 30-second video. If you'd like, she had to create a Twitter account to be able to post, so it's her only post, but it is linked here so that you have a chance to take a look at it. It's very creative. In terms of regional connections, so when we talk about college and career readiness, one of the things you probably heard me talk about over the years is the importance of regional supports. So if every single district has to do the same work, and much of the work in your E4E plan is similar, some of those things need to be done at a regional level in order for it to build capacity over time for all the districts across the state. So these are some of the partners that we're working with right now in terms of growing out that capacity. So if you hear of the term Inspire, that's part of our ACP platform, that comes through, is actually sponsored now by the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and then also administered through the Milwaukee 7 Talent Partnership. In addition to that, there's the Pathways Group. You've heard us talk about the $2 million grant that the state of Wisconsin had. Joe and I have been able to work on that grant with the state and are now starting to implement that at a regional level, and that work is informing our work. In addition to that, the Waukesha County Center for Growth is going to be taking a look at the information that we're sharing with you today and thinking about how that can be built out on a Waukesha County scorecard. So essentially, the main thing is the labor market, right? So what is the talent pipeline connections that we're talking about? And at the end of the day, when you hear about labor market, and that's what we'll just talk about very briefly today, tomorrow we're going to be going through an hour presentation on labor market. This is just a snippet. But essentially, at the end of the day, we just want it to inform, but not dictate the academic and career plans of our students. And what I mean by that is there's no way for us to cover every possible scenario, but just like our Healthcare Academy kids, we want to be able to provide advanced or expanded exposure just to inform their plans. So one of the things that is in tomorrow's presentation is what LMI looks like for many of our districts. And what I mean by that is what are we provided by the state, which is not useful in many cases. It's not useful for informing programming. So tonight what we're talking about is what is useful. These are the key compelling questions we ask when we look at labor market information. These are the ones that can inform our programming here and that can provide some insight into what we should be doing now to prepare students for their success in the future. LMI was a basis of why we built out the programs that we did. So
LMI?
It wasn't, go ahead.
LMI, can you clarify again?
I'm sorry, labor market information. So we really did quite a bit of research. It wasn't just, what are the jobs that exist today? We looked at what are the jobs that will exist in the future. We look at what are the skills that are going to be expected of our students in the future. We look at what are the things that our students are most interested in, and then which of these programs can serve the largest number of students because they have multiple pathways to success. So in any one of these pathways, you can find a pathway through a technical college, but you can also find a pathway direct to a four-year university, and that's been an important part of our work. One of the things that we found is that we need to not only look, we can't be comfortable with the vision of the graduate as today. So one of the things that we're looking at going into the next part of our strategic plan is what is the vision of the CCR graduate in 2040 look like? And some of the main things out of this paper that I think stand out a bit, it doesn't matter what publication you look at, is that the changing world of work is going to involve a lot more data, a lot more analysis, a lot more responsiveness to what customers are looking for. It needs to be very data and metrics driven, just like we need to be here. It's going to be grounded in relating, so a lot more of collaboration and teamwork and less of that independent or individual contributor role. It's going to be taken apart and put back together. So anyone that's working in engineering or in computer science knows that we do agile now. We don't do these large-scale deployments, and so we're breaking things up into smaller pieces. That's what we want to emulate in some of the projects that we're doing as well. And then lastly, interwoven with learning. So it's not like you learn and then you go to the job and the job's going to be responsible for training you. We're seeing a lot more of having students in the future workforce have to train themselves, have to be independent and take a lot of initiative in their own learning. So these are all the key takeaways from that research paper. They are supported by all of the aspects, all of the papers that our administrative team will be going through tomorrow. But at the end of the day, technology is a big deal, and how we integrate technology into all of our work is going to be a big deal. Trying to get students to be more comfortable interacting, that human-machine partnership is going to be a big deal. Social emotional skills, because of the changing workforce, is going to be paramount for them to be able to succeed. And then academic and career planning, and I just always put this in here, when done well, it can be done poorly. I think we do it very well here. But if we do it well, they're going to understand how the things that they're learning apply to their goals and not someone else's goals. So the other thing that, oh, go ahead.
Back on that slide, so what does it mean about the full-time employee?
What we're seeing in terms of the projected workforce is that because everything's being modularized, people will be employed for projects and not forever.
Okay.
So they need to understand how their skills relate to short-term assignments and multiple short-term assignments. That's why you hear this thing about like millennials having to have like 12 jobs, within the first, few years. They are doing that. They're jumping to be able to create skill sets, and that's what they need to do. Whereas in the old days, maybe you'd get a job and you'd build those skill sets over time, over a career.
Interesting, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I can provide this entire document to you if you want. It's really actually a very interesting read, if anyone's interested in that. But this is really the takeaway, is there's many concurrent strategies that are needed. So one of the things that we've talked quite a bit is about agility and our ability to respond, not investing in things that are going to change in 3 years. So we want to make sure that we're agile. We want to make sure that we take a look at how one thing that we want to put in place affects the rest of the system. And really many of the things that we've talked to you about over the last 4 to 5 years, I'm going to say that one of the focuses that we'll have this year is really thinking even more broadly about technological literacy. That's part of the E4E plan. Thinking about the maker culture, the work that Caroline's doing is a really big part of this work. Much more emphasis on socio-emotional learning in terms of trying to make sure that they're resilient through these times of change, and really trying to increase the relevance of instructional practice. So the last one is the one that really leads into the work that the team has been doing in terms of data-driven continuous improvement. So when you pass Board Policy 6154, this is 2 of the bullets out of that policy that we're committed to. And so what you're going to hear today is our way of coming back and making sure that we're making data-driven decisions. And one of the other things you'll see is in the E4E plan that Joe has included in the packets, you'll see reference to this new dashboard throughout that plan, because we'll be using these metrics to help inform education for employment as well. So with that, I want to turn it over to Kelly.
All right, so what's new? With our framework, our College and Career Ready framework, we base that off of research-based metrics. So these are some fun facts that are out there based off the metrics that we chosen. These metrics were not made up over the last few years. They've been out there for a long time. We're just purposely integrating them in how we're going to measure our student results. So you've seen this already in spring, and I'm going to focus in the next few slides on what's new or what we've needed to change to as far as services and communication with our parents and families. But before I do that, just a reminder that this was developed with a foundation on high academic achievement, but also allows students to demonstrate college and career ready with a variety of metrics and not just one benchmark. Joe talked about the ACT before. We still think that's really important. We're just allowing our students to show what they know or show that they're college and career ready in a variety of forms, and we're measuring and tracking our metrics this way. It allows us to break down our data and be very data driven in a purposeful way that we haven't necessarily done before.
And like I mentioned before, with the ACT scores, that's just one score that we look at. We have an entire framework that, that again, that kind of highlight, if you can go back, that would highlight, but we've got our own internal dashboards that would help us identify what this means for us and not just the ACT score.
Right. So one of those is college and high school. It's something that we've really done a nice job the last few years of increasing our WCTC partnership with Dual Enrollment Academy and transcripted credits, our partnership with UW-Milwaukee with the architecture class and advanced innovation and design, our partnership with Marquette with the data structures class, with Carol for education pathways, UW-Milwaukee that provides us a lot of opportunities for students in dual enrollments, and also their professor coming on site, youth options, course options. So we're taking all AP courses, we're taking all those opportunities, and we're trying to package it for parents and students in the community as well as our staff, and really focusing, you can get more in 4. And why might you want to take a post-secondary experience in high school, how it might be valuable to you in regards to increasing the level of rigor, determining your college readiness. So we're tracking all of that data and also have a launch, which is more in 4. It's going to launch actually this Thursday. We're going to have a parent information night for all 8th through 12th grade parents who are interested at New Berlin West, so September 14th. And really talking to them about everything that we offer under this capstone of college and high school, more in 4. So we're really excited about that. Financial literacy is something that's on our benchmark that we've had to do some adjustments. So starting with the class of 2018, we provided EverFi and for them to get a certification. And we've been increasingly successful at that. Our last indicators were 90 to 95% with the class of 2017. So 2018, it will be on the dashboard. It didn't start with the class of 2017. It will show up on the dashboard in 2018. Sorry, excuse me. A little confusing. So right now on the dashboard, what you will see is students who've taken a personal finance course who've gotten a C or above right now. So next year you will see the students who have taken personal finance or have gotten a certification for EverFi. We were lucky enough to get that grant from the state for financial literacy. And with that grant, we really looked at our advisory scope and sequence, determined what we were doing with students, how we were preparing them to be financially literate. And we, with the help of Matt Kern and the Financial Literacy Committee, determined that 9th grade was a little too young to start students for personal finance and shifted that to 10th grade. So you're going to see a shift this year in advisory for 9th and 10th. Will both be focused on employability, and then the following year, 9th will be employability skills, and 10th grade will be the personal finance focus. In addition, we took 12th grade, we included some credit lessons, the importance of credit, and FAFSA information for seniors. So we took feedback from the teachers, from the committee, and from some of the students to determine what they really needed at the right time. So we're implementing that this year. We're really excited about that. So you're going to see some changes in this benchmark only because we've changed what we've done a little bit in the past to make it more user-friendly for students. In addition, we'll continue to offer summer school personal finance because we think it's important. This year we didn't get enough enrollees, but we're planning to advertise that a little bit better in the summer. Service learning, we added. This is brand new. So actually today in advisory, our students got information about service learning and how they can get to those hours. So students need 16 hours to get to the college and career readiness benchmark and then 40 to get distinguished. We haven't formally put this into place, but we have students right now being very active in community service through Spanish Honor Society, National Honor Society, through their own formation of their own self, through their families. And we wanted to make sure it was being captured because there's a lot of research, like we said before in spring, that does students a lot of good. And including, we have right now a career and service-based learning opportunity board where students can look on there for internships, youth apprenticeships, and jobs. We also will be providing students opportunities for service learning in the area as well to help support them get their hours. And applying the ACP process. This is something else we've had to change our services to have students get to this metric. This will be the first year where we're going to have student-driven junior conferences, and within those junior conferences, the counselors will have a rubric, and the students will know about the rubric ahead of time through their advisory lessons. And if they can prove that they've actually understood and can apply the academic and career planning process, they'll get a little check mark in IC, and that'll populate that indicator in our benchmarks that they can apply the academic and career planning process. And I'm going to hand it off to Michael.
Good evening. This is a slide you may have seen before, especially if you have students in a secondary school. This was shared out. And this really difficult to see on a slide, but this is the different metrics that our students can meet in order to be identified as college and career ready. So when you look at the left-hand side, that is the academic side, and there's a variety of ways where students can meet that metric. The center one is career ready. You'll see that list is not quite as long, but at the same time, there's multiple ways within that list for students to meet that metric, and then the far right is life ready. So when you look at the criteria, which is this sheet, and my hope is that you have a chance to look at this a little bit closer. You heard Kelly mention that when we look at a college and career ready designation, there's multiple ways for students to meet that designation. So those areas across the top show the 4 different ways that students can meet that designation of college and career ready. There's one that's a little bit more academic than others, and that's the one on the far left. And then they continue across all the way to the right. And I'll go back to a slide that was shared by, I think, Laura earlier, that talks about students learning in a variety of ways and demonstrating their learning in a variety of ways. This gives us a chance to measure that student learning in those different ways. So some of them have more career ready or different career ready, different life ready factors to them. Some of them have different grade level criteria. Some of them have different experiences that are part of that. So when you look at the way a student can meet that college and career ready designation, multiple ways for different learners and different experiences, which is exactly what we want for our students. On the bottom, you see a distinguished college and career ready graduate. So students will get recognition for meeting this designation. They'll get recognition in the graduation program for meeting the college and career ready designation. They'll get recognition in the form of a medallion that they will wear at graduation, in addition to cum laude, in addition to the different honor societies that they meet, if they meet the distinguished college and career ready graduate. So when you look at that criteria, it combines a lot of the best of all of the different ways which students need to meet. So you look at the grade point, you look at the ACT scores, and then you look at the academic, the career, and the life ready designations, and they need to meet all of those different criteria. Some of them at different levels, a higher level than others, in order to meet that designation. So this information actually is being shared with our students in advisory right now, and they're walking through this process, our seniors to see where they're at, our juniors to see where they're at and what little steps they can make and what they can take. But all the way down to our 7th graders who are literally planning forward with a document like this. This next slide is a district snapshot. It's much less student individual driven. So when you look at this is about the individual student. When you look at this one, this is our whole district and the measures of our district and how we're performing in each of these areas. So this is our metric and our look at the district level to say, are we achieving the goals? It's a driver for where our action plans and our work needs to be as we look at continual growth in our district. It's the focus on those things that we need to do more effectively if we want our students to meet that designation and our district to grow in the way we want it to grow for our students. So different implementation plans. We did have presentations already at Open House. Those were shared out with parents along with the survey. I'm sorry for West parents, you had to listen to my voice for whatever.
18, 15 minutes, I can't remember what that was. That video that we talked about, though, was embedded in that presentation. So that's another chance, if you've gotten that, to have that. Also from the Ike side, that was done as well. We've updated the website, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in the next slide. We're really working on student supports and how to get students knowledgeable, how to get staff knowledgeable about these so they can talk them easily. The three of us, along with several others, have been embedded in this work, and that conversation comes easy for us. But for some other people, it's new. So we need to continue to deepen the understanding and get feedback about the information they need to be successful. This is a picture of our website, and you see the highlighted sections on our website. The website really is a repository of a wealth of information regarding the metrics behind the research and the metrics behind the research for our work. And along with the other documents that you see tonight, which are all linked and included here. So when you go to our website, this is probably the best place to get the deeper understanding if you want to dig into the depth of this work. Most of the metrics that we have are based on research that really show the designation for college and career ready. So when you look at this and you want to get deeper, you can spend 2-3 hours in here and get deeper into an understanding of what that work is. And that's all we have, unless there are questions. Thank you.
I do want to say, Michael, if you can go back to the previous, I guess it'd be the slides where it shows these, Michael, like these two, and then this one as well. Yeah, yep, all those. So what, we took a leap of faith about 5 years ago to head down this path around a college and career readiness initiative. It's a K-12 initiative. And what this work is doing is it's validating through data our efforts and putting our money where our mouth is as it relates to what we believe is important. I don't want to sound melodramatic, but this is groundbreaking work. Nationally, it's being reviewed. We're on a committee that at a national level, we're reviewing these types of things, but we're really pushing the envelope as it relates to this work. And, I just want to let you know that, I'm proud that we've finally gotten to this point because it allows us to kind of track and, make sure that we are truly moving in the direction that we want to. And so, while our ACT score, again, it's gone up as a composite as a district, that's great. But in the broader picture, when you look at the number of our students, as far as that we're distinguished, college and career ready graduates versus college and career ready graduates, we went from 9% a couple years ago to 13% last year. And then for college and career readiness went from 72 to 82%. And again, that's beyond just a single ACT score. It's all of these things encompassed together to show us that, again, we truly are realizing the vision that we seek and the mission that we portray as a school district. So I'm very proud of our efforts to get to this point. Now it's just a matter of continuing not only to maintain, but also increase, which is where the hard work will be. So again, the work of Kelly, Laura, Michael, Matt, and others, this is groundbreaking. Kelly.
I just wanted to also reiterate that, Kelly did mention our college and high school parent information night, which is Thursday. So if you are interested in coming out and hearing more about that, it is here, even though it is for both schools. I just wanted to clarify that we're hosting it here, but it is for both schools. We did put flyers up all over the place for the parent open house the other night. But if you're interested, that is running from 6:30 to 8. So parents can learn more about how their students can earn college credit while they're in high school. So I just wanted to reiterate that little tidbit.
I just had a couple, if I can jump in too, and this is very exciting because it's like predictive analytics is the path you're going down, which is really exciting. I would just had a couple of really quick questions. So on that slide, this one right here, So how those are bundled, so you're saying if you have a 3.0, the things underneath it, you probably don't have to do as much because you already demonstrate, or is this not really clustered together? Am I reading it wrong?
No, I think you're reading it right.
Okay.
The conversation is college and career ready, and different designations, different levels. So traditional
Okay.
college ready would be, you meet all of the, so when you look at the one furthest to the left, you're talking about minimum ACT scores, and that's really the biggest marker. So people get caught up in grade point and get caught up in different things, but really the marker to get into college is your ACT score. So we put grade point, we put ACT scores, and that every one of those scores in each of the individual areas would have to meet the minimum for college and career ready. And then we've got 2 life ready indicators as well. Again, that's one of the ways students can meet. I say not better nor worse than any other way. It's just one of the ways. When you look at these 4 ways, and one thing I actually failed to mention when I talked about this slide before is really our students are going to hit a target that they know is there. So if we create this target, we create this conversation for them. This presentation now in classes has had students go into an advisory, hear this presentation, see it, want more information, come back the next day, bring maybe a counselor or somebody in to have that conversation to clarify, how can you meet this, this, or this? Have you met it already? It's adding some teeth to some of that broader conversation we have because there's something for them to see, oh yes, I did achieve this. And it's created that target for students, whether it be the college and career ready designation or the distinguished.
Yeah, that's impressive. And to your point, you can personalize it, right? What works for me might not work for you.
There should be something for every learner. I believe that every student can achieve a 2.0 GPA or better. So when you look at that, then there should be something for every learner in here, a way to achieve this for every learner.
That's exciting. And the fact that you get an award that's recognized at graduation is hands down, that's awesome because you really put a reward to what you're trying to achieve versus checking a box.
And we discussed that for a while in our committee and in our committee work, and we came to, again, if students have that goal, they're more apt to make that, to develop to that level of achievement.
That's what I would do. This is amazing. And then the statistics that you have on that next page, are those accurate?
Yes.
That's really impressive.
No, they're not.
Well, I didn't know if it was just data that you put in there to show how it's going to work.
Those are accurate, current. Those are currently accurate.
But there's some impressive numbers here. So nice. And everything's improving, obviously, as you measure it, right? You drive improvement, but very nice.
Any other comments? What's neat to see is where this has come in the last 5 years. And I remember, I've read articles at least 15 years ago, just some of the basic roots of this about kids don't, Charles Murray and some of those said, kids, not everyone needs to go to a 4-year college. There's more to it. There's more things you can do to help kids grow. And those were some of the first roots that I've ever heard of this, but now this is really getting scientific. And it'd be so neat to see where this goes in the next 3 to 5 years. It's very exciting stuff. So thank you very much and congratulations. All right, with that, we're going to discuss and possibly approve new student groups.
Yeah, we essentially have several groups up for your approval. Note that there are distinguished curriculum-related student groups versus non-curriculum-related student groups. There are different parameters that set each other apart, and so we're asking that you approve them as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Approve new student groups as outlined.
Second.
A motion by Mrs. Manley, second by Mr. Kurth to approve the new student groups. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is action items that were discussed in closed session.
Mr. President, I have one to approve the employment services report as presented.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the items discussed in closed session by Mrs. Manley, second by Mr. Kurth. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item is future meeting and dates. The next board meetings coming up will happen here in the West Commons on Monday, September 25th, Monday, October 9th, and Monday, October 23rd. The next item in the
Tom,
agenda.
if I may, not only a shameless plug, but also we are posting the next 2 evenings for board to possible have a quorum at our Stairway to Heroin Part 2 event that's being held here at New Berlin West. Both nights it's the same event, just 2 separate evenings. But that's posted on our website. It's on Facebook, Twitter for details. So
Thank you, I
but
forgot
again,
about that. I think the last time pretty much all the board members were there
Yep.
at one time, so thank you very much for that.
Oh, I have it.
Is it on the website?
Yeah, I have 6:30 to 8. Well, for teachers, and then the parent one is after that on both nights from 6:30 to 8.
Great.
The next item on the agenda would have been to reconvene to closed session, but that item is no longer required. So the next item on the agenda will be a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kurth, second by Mrs. Manley to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There is none. This meeting is adjourned.